Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Carlene.
And I'm Jay. We are also known as Jaylene.
On this channel, we recap and provide our reviews for Married at First Sight.
Today we'll be reviewing episode 3, Music City Matrimony.
Please subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. We want to give a special thanks to you all who liked, comment, or subscribe in the past few weeks. We are so excited for your support and look forward to interacting with you all in the comments. We're going to start off where we left off in the last episode with Jasmine and Airris. Airris's cousin continues to laugh at him for wanting to marry a stranger. Airris asks his cousin for advice, or at least to give him something positive. His cousin tells him to be committed to this black woman and do what he says that he's going to do. I think this was good advice. His cousin realized that Airris was going to go through with the wedding, and nothing she said would change his mind. I like the conversation Jasmine had with her dad before walking down the aisle. Like any father, he wants what is best for his daughter.
I wish the cousin would just let it be. If he says, I'm going to go ahead and get married to this woman regardless, let it be. And if it blows up in his face, you can make fun of him afterwards.
You could tell Airris was happy when he saw his future wife walking down the aisle. The sigh of relief when he first laid eyes on her said it all. I was like, do they know each other?
Yeah, when I first saw his reaction, I was like, oh, he must know her. This is not going to be pretty. Because I was kind of confused looking at her as well. I'm like, man, they must know each other. It must be like New Orleans all over again. But when he was looking excited and happy, I'm like, okay, he don't know her, but he's happy by the way she looks.
Airris was so happy when Jasmine walked down the aisle. He started applauding. Since Jasmine is involved in pageants, maybe she's used to this type of attention. I guess they were both speechless because they couldn't stop staring at each other.
I think that was his player boy coming back to surface. He's like, oh, I gotta keep myself in check.
When the officiant started sharing about Jasmine, all Airris could say is, you're tall. Jasmine just smiled. There was something different about this officiant, like we knew him. On After Party, Jasmine let us know that this was actually her childhood pastor. The way he was reading about Airris's family had to say, it was almost like giving instructions for something you didn't know how to use. How are they going to tell his future wife to love on him the best she can and that they will be there for them? As they were getting to know each other, you can tell that Airris and Jasmine are attracted to each other. They were okay with their ages and they asked about siblings, so Jasmine shared how many she has, and Airris shared that he was an only child. Jasmine asked Airris about having only child syndrome, and he admitted that he did, and she was like, okay, that's something we can work on.
That's something I can relate to as I'm the only child, so it does take time to learn how to share your space and maybe share some of your things with people, so I can understand that.
Airris wasn't impressed when Jasmine told him that she had 4 dogs. Later on, she said that she was breeding 9. Airris did that math quick when he realized that there were 13 dogs that's going to be running around. He was ready to snitch on his wife because he was convinced her having so many dogs had to be illegal. Airris tried to look on the positive side and believes he will have patience because marriage is patience. I'm glad that he is still open-minded and he is willing to work with Jasmine.
Yeah, if I'm Airris, I'm concerned as well. When she said 4 dogs, I'm like, that's a lot. 1 is okay, 4 is a lot. But when she said she also breed them, I understand she does it as another way to make money. But if you're in a household with a new spouse and you have all these dogs in there as well, that's a lot, especially for someone like him who's a very introvert, quiet person, and on top of that, he's the only child, so he don't want all these animals around his stuff. So that will be interesting to watch and see how that plays out.
At the reception, Jasmine asked Airris to pray, and he did. Then he talked about how this wasn't the type of food that he usually eats since he doesn't eat meat when Jasmine asked him about it. She was shocked and was like, I can still eat it, right? This is a personal choice of Airris. Then they realized that their schedules are completely off. Airris met with Jasmine's bridesmaids and learned that she isn't a good communicator. So it all makes sense. That's why they didn't speak to each other at the altar.
I did find it funny when he asked what is something he's even on the lookout for. And when he said, is she a good communicator? One of the bridesmaids' eyes got so big. I was like, oh, Lord, look what's going on now and what's going to happen down the line when they do have a argument or miscommunication of some sort.
Her bridesmaid told him that if it's going to cause conflict, that she's not going to say it, which can be a problem because if you're not saying it, a lot of assumptions are going on. So hopefully now that they know about this communication thing, they know that they need to work on it. When Jasmine met with Airris's cousin and mom, his cousin made it clear that she thought the process was crazy. But she thought that Jasmine's answers were too well thought out. Since she's in the pageant world, every time they asked her a question, she was ready to answer. At least his mom likes her.
At least that's the most important thing. The mom likes her, not the cousin. 'Cause the mom is kicking it up, and the cousin's like, nah, this ain't gonna work. I don't like you. You can just see it in her face and her eyes. It's like, I ain't having it.
When Jasmine and Airris, when they were sitting with their crew, they asked them to rate their mate. So Jasmine gave Airris a 9.5, and Airris gave his wife a solid 8. I don't think it was fair that Airris was judging his wife against Beyonce. Why do they keep having them rate their mates? They know nothing good can come out of it.
Maybe she got an 8 because she have all them dogs.
I thought they were going off of looks, not that she's bringing in dogs.
Don't bring in 13 dogs. You first 4. If she left it at 4, she probably would have got a 9. But since she got 13, drop her down to an 8. We don't know what his preferences are.
We're talking about looks. She's not faulting him for having the only child syndrome.
Can you stop poo-pooing this man?
So now we have Domynique and Mackinley, and this is the last couple to be married in this season. So let's talk about as they were getting ready. In her confessional, Domynique talked about always being the giver. She says she is not nervous, and one of her friends really pumped her up. Dominique's friend started poking fun around her future husband, was like, what if he doesn't want to kill bugs? So this seems to be like a deal breaker for Domynique. Then Dominique's mom shared what she wants. For a second, I was like, is Domynique marrying this man or her mother? Dominique's mom wants her to have a man who is willing to get his hands dirty, likes to go hunting, and can afford to have a family. Her mom is giving Domynique at least 1 year before having a child because she wants to have grandbabies. It looks like Domynique was trying to put her foot down because she was like, you're going to have to wait, and that there wasn't going to be any honeymoon babies. Remember, she's only 25.
The look on Dominique's face when her mom said something about babies, the look was priceless. So at least she's has some kind of common sense where she don't want to give up her life right away at 25. But yeah, her mom, like, who wants this more, her mom or Domynique? I'm just thinking, okay, she reminds me, I can't remember her name right now off the top of my head, from New Orleans, who got married to Bennett. But it seems like Domynique just wants to be on a reality TV show.
Mackinley talked about wanting to get married and having everything that comes along with that. He shared how he was vague on the appearance of his future wife, but he wanted to be attracted to her, and how he dated younger girls in the past with no jobs. This wouldn't be the case for his future wife because she is already in her career. He is concerned when his future wife asks about where he lives. Since he moved here to Nashville recently, he's going to have to tell her how he's living with his best friend's family. I think it's better than him saying that he's living in a bus and he wants her to live there too, like Tom and Lillian from season 4.
I was surprised he did tell her his living situation. Most guys would just kind of hold on to that and keep that close to the vest. But again, she's 25, so she don't know no better.
Before walking down the aisle, Mackinley met with his mom. She wished that her son had a more traditional courtship. On the after party, Mackinley talked about how his mom offered him $50,000 not to go through with the marriage. Mackinley is concerned if his future wife isn't attracted to him or if he isn't what she wants. When he walked down the aisle with his mom, Mackinley greeted the audience.
What is he going to do with $50,000? It's maybe an average year's salary for people in America. It makes no sense. And then on top of that, he's still going to be lonely along with his $50,000.
Before walking down the aisle with her mom, Domynique's nerves finally hit her and she was dancing like she had to go to the bathroom. Mackinley was happy and smiled when he saw Domynique walking down the aisle. He complimented her and introduced himself. I thought that was sweet. After the officiant shared about the couple and what the family had to say, they said their vows to each other. When the officiant specifically asked Domynique to repeat after her, Domynique was too busy trying to get the ring on Mackinley's finger. Unlike Shaquille, Mackinley asked Domynique if he could kiss her, and she said yes, of course. When they were getting to know each other, Mackinley shared how he recently moved to Nashville because of his best friend Taylor.
I was confused because the matchmaking special, he was sitting next to another guy and they made it seem like that was his best friend. When they said Taylor was his best friend, I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, even though she lives, I think he said, in Washington. But yeah, that kind of threw me off. I thought the dude was his best friend.
Then they started talking about their ages. When Domynique said that she was 25, he thought she was joking. But instead of putting it back on her, like, wow, you're super young, he asked her if he was too old. You can tell that Mackinley is a people pleaser and just wants to make sure that he's doing everything he can so his wife would like him. Domynique told him how she asked for an older man for emotional maturity, and it seemed like she was even willing to go older than Mackinley. Then Mackinley tells her that he still feels like he's 25.
So is she looking for a sugar daddy or something? Because I'm confused, but I guess.
Domynique met with Mackinley's mom and sister, and his mom thought that getting married at first sight was just crazy. She tells Domynique, as a mother, you want your child to have a longer traditional courtship. Domynique looked like, my mom didn't want that for me. She signed me up for this show. She was concerned with me and the family because she wanted to be accepted for who she is. Just like her husband, Domynique didn't have specifics on race.
I can see where Domynique may be thinking this might be a race issue just based on his mom. That was my initial concern too. But according to Mackinley, his mom is not racist.
When Mackinley met with Domynique's mom and grandmother, her mom reminded him that they are black. She wants to know if that would be a problem for his family, and Mackinley assured them that it wouldn't be a problem. I thought it was crazy how in her confessional, Domynique's mom compared meeting Mackinley to meeting a mass murderer. I understand she thinks he's nice and she doesn't know him, but a mass murderer?
I'm confused if she's saying we're obviously black. I don't think that needs to be pointed out. We can tell you're black. I think he knows you're black as well. That didn't need to be mentioned at all.
Next couple up, Gina and Clint.
So when Gina's friend was making her toast, what she said, I was like, that sounds so familiar. She says about lying, stealing, cheating, and drinking. I was like, that sounds like I heard that in Hitch. And I had to put in the DVD for Hitch. It's one of my favorite movies. And I was like, no, she didn't. She actually stole that from Hitch. She kind of made some changes in the first three things she said, but the part where it says drinking and taking your breath away, I was like, man, she a thief.
When they were having dinner and tried to guess where they were going on their honeymoon, they both thought that they were going to the Bahamas, and Clint wants to sell if that was possible. Gina was like, you can sell in other countries? This offended Clint, and he looked at her like she was stupid and answered, I race in Italy. How was she supposed to know that right off the bat? She was trying to get to know him by asking questions. Then the crowd knocked on their glasses for the couple to kiss. They did, and Clint said that the kiss was better than the chicken. Gina thought that this was the funniest thing and noted how funny he was. As you can see, this was one of her requirements. Then Clint was annoyed with Gina when she continued to talk about her career. Remember, she poured herself into her career after her last breakup, so this will be the main topic of conversation. In his confessional, Clint says he wants to get past the work stuff, and then Gina says how she's a workaholic. If Clint was keeping strikes like Kirsten, this would be strike 2 for Gina. Strike 1 was offending him with the selling in the other countries, and strike 2 was Gina annoying him with her career. Gina's bridesmaids wanted to know why Clint is ready and worthy for marriage. He talked about dating, the 60 plus people and how they left a mark on him and how they supposedly taught him something. He wants to have an enduring, long-lasting relationship. Her bridesmaids asked him about his intentions for the night and advised him to wait until the honeymoon. This caused Clint to start sweating. Am I hearing strike 3? Her friends telling Clint what to do isn't sitting well with him. The next couple, Kirsten and Shaquille. At their reception, they both wanted to catch up and looking forward on, catching up on sleep. And they didn't like the food that was there. The couple shared a laugh when they both said, I don't want to eat this at the same time, and just decided to have drinks instead.
I was very surprised how they were keking it up. With more her because she was so focused on his looks and his bald head, where she finally realized, oh, they got something in common where they don't like the food. I was like, maybe, just maybe, she may give him a chance.
In her confessional, Kirsten was amazed that things were aligning. She says he's educated, check mark. He's family oriented, check mark. It's like one of those moments, when someone tries to convince you of something, but you don't believe it until you see it yourself? Since she wasn't physically attracted to her husband, she thought the experts just didn't know what they were doing.
But she make it seem like he looked like Swamp Thing or something. She makes like he's butt ugly or something. I didn't understand why she's so fixated on his looks during this process. They're not going to give you exactly what you want.
Everything was going so well until the crowd started beating their glasses for the couple to kiss. Kirsten thought that they wanted them to do a toast. Kirsten wanted to continue enjoying herself, and that didn't involve kissing Shaquille. Then Shaquille realized there was something more than them not knowing each other, why his wife doesn't want to kiss him. He learned on after party from Kirsten's friends that she is willing to kiss him if he just asked her.
Technically, he would have had a better chance of kissing her if he would have asked.
Shaquille felt like he was getting grilled when meeting Kirsten's bridesmaids. They thought he was going to not have time for Kirsten because of school and work. Shaquille tells them that he makes time for things that he wants, and he wants her. One bridesmaid thought that his answers were like politician answers. She goes on to say how they kept it cute now, but later on, how they were going to grill him like a rack of barbecue ribs. What was Shaquille doing when he was in the process of taking off Kirsten's garter? Was he channeling his inner Olajuwon? Kirsten made sure to tell him to keep his clothes on. I thought he was going to tip that chair over.
This was priceless. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was like, get him, Shaq. I was like, get him. So it looked like she actually enjoyed it as well. So that was good. Hopefully his little bit of swagger can kind of reel her in and actually have her forget about his look. So I like that. Good job.
The last couple, Nicole and Chris. Earlier in the episode, Nicole only saw green flags. Now meeting with her crew, she believes Chris is too nice. She wants him to feel appreciated and wants to be nice to him, but she has limits. Apparently, Chris does not. She is nervous that everything feels so great, and this is something that she isn't used to.
She should be careful thinking he's too nice. I feel he's just trying to put his best foot forward and be very polite and respectful. So we'll just see how that goes, because we do know everyone has their own limits. So let's see how far his limits are and where they go to.
When Chris met with Nicole's dad, you can see where Nicole gets her talkativeness from. He pointed out how in arranged marriages, the family, her dad wants to know if he's a murderer and all of, other sorts of things. I mean, what is he going to say yes if he was?
When Nicole was asking all these questions to producers, at first, initially, I thought it was like a montage of questions. Then I realized she's actually just speaking really fast and had these questions back to back to back. I was like, man, that's where I see where she got it from her daddy. So, man, I feel bad for Chris already.
I was scared for Nicole when Chris picked her up and carried her into the hotel suite. She complimented him, telling him how strong he was, and Chris was complimenting Nicole throughout the day too. Then they talked about sleeping with their dogs. So they can look forward to sleeping with each other and 3 dogs in the bed. They started kissing each other and wanted to continue. They ended the night cuddling. This couple seems to be hitting it off well. Chris is very attentive to Nicole's needs and always checking in with her. I hope there are some boundaries because since Nicole isn't used to this, it might scare her. Then Chris will feel like he is getting walked over like he did in his past relationships.
At least Nicole didn't get her head hit against the door like in season 1. Don't know who that couple was, but at least her head didn't get hit against the door.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some things that we're looking forward to in the episodes to come. This is the part where they show things that's going to be happening in the upcoming episodes. So it didn't look too bad when you compare it to other seasons. You know how they give us all the good stuff up front and then they hit us with the bad? What are some of the things you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Mitch 2.0 because he said something that offended every woman there, minus Jasmine. But I'm like, wow, why would you say that? 2, I want to know how that came about. And 3, why would you put your foot in your mouth like that in front of all the women? And I'm going to assume that happened on the honeymoon as well.
Yeah, Clint is starting to look, having the characteristics of Mitch. So hopefully we don't call him Mitch, when we're talking about him in the other episodes. It seemed like Nicole was joking when she asked Chris if she is his dream wife and then if he loves her. He was like, yeah, you're my dream wife, but I don't love you yet, So she was joking. And then it seems like she must have offended him or something because he was like he wasn't going to stand for that. And it kind of reminded me of Miguel and Lindy when Miguel was like, no, you are not going to talk to me like that.
And one other thing I'm looking forward to is Airris and Jasmine. Apparently, Airris was dancing with some woman, and Jasmine wasn't happy about it. So I'm like, did Jasmine do something to offend Airris? And then that just happened to happen that night, or was it planned on his end? So I'm waiting to see what that storyline is about as well.
Okay, well, that's all we have for episode 3. What are your thoughts on episode 3? We'd love to hear from you. Put your thoughts in the comments. Please continue to like and comment, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos.
Later, everyone.
Bye.